What is the real purpose of life? It's a question that has quietly echoed through countless minds across centuries and cultures. Beneath all the daily noise, our ambitions, plans, achievements, there often lingers a deeper inquiry, one that surfaces in quiet moments, after the excitement fades, when the distractions fall silent. A simple but piercing question: is this all there is? We strive, we chase goals, we reach milestones, and yet, when the dust settles, something still feels unresolved. That moment of triumph fades faster than we expected. That long-awaited vacation ends, and we're already thinking about the next one. That new phone or car is thrilling for a few days. Then it becomes normal, and the mind is off looking again. It's not that there's anything wrong with enjoying success or pleasure. Life offers many beautiful experiences. But what becomes clear over time is this: none of them seem to last. The happiness we feel is real, but temporary. And the strange thing is, the more we try to hold on to it, the quicker it seems to slip through our fingers. This is the quiet tension behind much of modern life. We've been told that the purpose of life is to be happy, that if we just achieve the right combination of money, recognition, and pleasurable experiences, we'll feel whole. And so we chase, we optimize, we measure ourselves against others. And still, a subtle sense of dissatisfaction follows us. We see it everywhere. People who appear to have it all, wealth, status, influence, still wrestling with feelings of emptiness or unrest. Success doesn't seem to inoculate anyone from doubt, anxiety, or the sense that something essential is missing. Why is that? The answer doesn't lie in achieving more. It lies in understanding the nature of the mind and the way it clings. We often assume we're moving toward happiness, but in reality, we're often just running from discomfort, from restlessness, from that persistent feeling that what we have isn't quite enough. Much of what we call the pursuit of happiness is really an attempt to escape unease. We feel bored, we scroll, we feel lonely, we reach for something, anything, to fill the space. We feel unimportant, so we seek validation, achievement, approval. The pleasures we chase are not bad, but they're often built on the avoidance of discomfort. And when the thrill fades, the discomfort returns. This is the pattern: an itch and a scratch, hunger and relief, but rarely lasting peace. The pleasure of the scratch feels good, not because it's inherently fulfilling, but because it stops the itch for a moment. But the itch always returns. The relief is short-lived, and so we chase again. We live in a world that celebrates external success, but internal clarity is what brings peace. And clarity doesn't come from achieving more. It comes from seeing more deeply, from noticing how the mind works, from recognizing how we cling to impermanent things and expect them to provide permanent satisfaction. When this is seen clearly, something shifts. We begin to understand that the issue isn't our life situation, it's our relationship to it. The stress doesn't come from not having enough. It comes from believing that enough is always one step away. And when the mind is always reaching for what's next, it can never fully rest in what is. True freedom isn't the absence of pain. It's the absence of compulsion. It's not needing to be constantly entertained or affirmed. It's being okay with what's here, even if it's quiet, even if it's ordinary. And from that place, a different kind of joy begins to emerge. Not the fleeting thrill of excitement, but a steady contentment that isn't disturbed by every changing condition. This path doesn't require renouncing the world. It doesn't demand that we stop enjoying life. It simply invites us to stop clinging so tightly, to stop placing all our hopes on things that, by their nature, come and go. It invites us to turn inward, not to escape life, but to engage with it more deeply, more presently, more freely. And this inner freedom is not theoretical. It's something we begin to taste in daily life. When we pause before reacting, when we listen more openly, when we allow discomfort without immediately trying to fix or flee it, when we realize we can feel a difficult emotion without being consumed by it. Slowly, the patterns of compulsive grasping begin to loosen. We discover a capacity for peace that doesn't rely on external conditions. We find meaning not in constant stimulation, but in presence, in depth, in understanding. This understanding brings a natural shift in priorities. We begin to value different things, not because someone told us to, but because we feel the difference. A life oriented around kindness, presence, and simplicity starts to feel more spacious, more nourishing. And so the question of life's purpose transforms. It's no longer, how can I be happy all the time? But how can I understand the root of my suffering and relate to it wisely? Because when we do that, happiness no longer needs to be chased. It arises naturally, like sunlight through an open window. This shift isn't about blind positivity. It's about deep clarity. It's about recognizing that much of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from how we relate to it. And that by changing that relationship, we can suffer less. Not by controlling the world, but by changing how we meet it. Even in ordinary life, with work, family, responsibilities, this shift is possible. We don't have to live in a cave or retreat from society. The invitation is to bring awareness into everything we do, to speak with more care, to listen with more openness, to act with more integrity, and to return again and again to the present moment as it is. Each moment becomes part of the path, not because it's special, but because we are fully here for it. A walk to the grocery store, a conversation with a friend, a moment of frustration, a breath before responding. These are the places where inner transformation happens, not in grand revelations, but in subtle shifts. When we choose presence over distraction, compassion over judgment, patience over reactivity. There's a beauty in this simplicity. We stop waiting for the big moment that will change everything and start noticing the quiet power of this moment, right here, as it is. And over time, we may notice that life becomes less of a problem to solve and more of an experience to engage with. The ups and downs still come, but they no longer define us. We can feel sadness without being swallowed by it. We can enjoy joy without fearing its loss. We find a middle way, a balance that carries us through. This is what real freedom feels like. Not the freedom to have whatever we want, but the freedom to meet life without being enslaved by wanting. To move through joy and sorrow alike with an open heart and a steady mind. That's a profound shift, and it points to a purpose that is deeper than pleasure. A purpose rooted in understanding, in clarity, in compassion. A purpose that doesn't depend on what we achieve, but on how we live. And in living this way, we find a peace that doesn't depend on everything going right. A happiness that doesn't vanish with every loss. A sense of meaning that holds steady even when circumstances change. This kind of life doesn't need to be grand or dramatic. Often it's quiet, grounded, simple, but it's deeply alive. And in that aliveness, the question, what is the purpose of life, begins to answer itself, not in words, but in how we feel in our own heart. It's not about chasing more. It's about seeing clearly, living wisely, loving fully, and letting go again and again of what we don't need to carry. So if you find yourself wondering what life is really about, try this. Stop reaching outward for a moment. Turn inward. Watch your mind. Notice your breath. Observe your reactions without judgment. Let the noise settle. And listen to what remains in the quiet. That stillness is not empty. It's full of insight. It may not shout, but it knows. The real purpose of life may not be something we find at the top of a mountain or the end of a long journey. It may be something we uncover right here, in this very moment, when we stop trying to become something else and start fully being who and where we are. Freedom isn't far. It begins where striving ends. And in that space, the heart begins to open. The mind begins to settle. And life, just as it is, begins to feel enough.